Finally, we are joined by Julian Woodcock, the Managing Director of Viking Mines with the ticker code VKA. Today, Julian will be providing an update on their first hit gold project in WA.
Hi Jane, thank you very much. Thanks for having us here today. Also, hello to the shareholders that are watching and also the rest of your audience who hopefully may become shareholders after today's presentation. Okay, as the first slide, just very quickly on this first slide, the image there is some of our core. The project I'll explain a bit further as we go along, but has no drilling in the last 20 years, and there was almost no core available to have a look at what the mineralization was like. And we're very pleased earlier this year with our first drill program to have got a number of intercepts with visible gold, and that piece there has got quite a lot of VG in it. This is our usual forward-looking statement, so please take the time to read that when you have it. So I want to explain to you just a little bit about Viking Mines. We're an emerging WA junior gold explorer. We've got a focus on high-grade gold in underexplored districts, and our flagship project is the first hit project, and it comprises an existing high-grade historic gold mine, averaging around 7.7 grams per tonne. It's underexplored. As I said, no drilling has been undertaken for 20 years, and there's significant exploration and growth upside. Previous work really focused around the mine and didn't look across the rest of the tenure. In addition to this, the company is very active in the business development space. We recently, a few months ago, got a new non-executive director on the board, Dave Hall. He's been involved with Newmont and now Northern Star. Been involved in many of the significant acquisitions, and most recently was involved in the transaction selling the Newmont stake in the Super Pit KCGM to Northern Star. So he's a strong additional capacity we have in the company. So we're targeting project and land acquisitions to build size and scale, which will complement first hit. And as I said, we're really looking at a high-grade focus. We're definitely a very active explorer. We acquired the project in January this year, and since then we've completed over 10,000 meters of drilling as a combination of RC, diamond and air core. Our third drilling program is currently underway, and that has a dual focus. And the main purpose of this drill program is to identify new shoots along strike from the first hit mine on the first hit structure, as well as test new targets to identify new mineralized structures. And I'll go through a bit of that later in the presentation. We're also very well resourced. We've got a very strong cash position of more than $6 million. The current program underway is expected to cost around 800,000, so that leaves plenty to follow up with subsequent programs. And our market cap at the moment is just over 21 billion. There is a slide in the appendix pack, which I won't go through today, which talks about the corporate structure, the shareholding, as well as some information on myself and the other directors. So we're well funded to systematically explore the targets and advance the first hit project. And as I've explained, the company leadership has extensive experience in identifying and defining gold resources. So just a little bit about first hit. The map on the right, if I can draw your attention to Kalgoorlie Boulder. For those that know the WA goldfields, Kalgoorlie is host to the Golden Mile, one of the world's most significant gold deposits, and it's a prolific gold district. Just to the west of Kalgoorlie is the Zulika Shear Zone. That area is characterized by Evolution Mining, having the Kundana assets and Mungari. I worked there for a few years, explored in that area, and that shear zone moves up to the top left of the image and is the same structure within which the first hit project is located. Also to the west of the image is the Ida Shear Zone, which runs to the north, also well endowed. The Davyhurst Mill is only 50 kilometers south of us. That's owned by Orabunda Mining, and it's about 200 kilometers by road to get to Kalgoorlie Boulder, where there is a number of other mills. Probably a key thing there, as I've said, is that the first hit mine is narrow vein high grade, running 7.7 grams a tonne, producing 30,000 ounces. The important factor there is that any mineralization we do find could easily have a number of options to be able to be processed, whether it be a standalone operation, if sufficient ore is found, or trucking through to any of those mills that are shown on the image on the right. The mine closed in 2002 in a low gold price environment, around US $320 per ounce. And this certainly contributed to the fact that no further work was undertaken. So prior to our ownership, minimal exploration has been conducted outside of first hit in the last 20 years. And that's where we see the significant potential upside. We acquired the project in January through shareholder approval and immediately commenced a significant diamond and air core drilling program to test the project. We completed 19 holes for nearly 4,000 meters of diamond, and that confirmed mineralization is open at depth and along strike. And there's some references to some releases there that go into detail for those that would like to see it. And I'll touch on that a little more on some long sections shown in the next couple of slides. We also covered the rest of the tenure with an air core drilling program, completed 128 holes for over 5,000 meters. And the purpose there was to identify anomalies and also to characterize the mineralization that has previously been mined at first hit. That was successful as well. We identified 4 anomalies outside of the first hit structure, as well as got indications for the continuity of the structure to the north and south. It's these programs that the program that we're commencing now that is following up on these results from earlier in the year. Just a quick overview of the site. We're looking south in this image. At the top on the right, you see Riverina open pit. That's 8 kilometers away. That's owned by Orabanda Mining. If you have a look on their website, you get an idea of the size of the resource that they're looking to extract there. If we go clockwise round through the labels, the Borewater at Clark's Well, that's nearby source of water. Then the next 2 points are the vent raise and the box cut. And what I'd just like to highlight there is that there was about $10 million of investment into the underground access at first hit. That decline goes in through the box cut. It's about 1.5 kilometers in length, goes to 200 vertical meters. And it's from there within which the stopes of the historic mining that produced 30,000 ounces are undertaken. It's a 5.5 by 5.5 meter drive. It's in good condition. You can get access through the box cut. The water has returned to its natural levels in the mine, so there would be an element required to dewater should the project progress. However, all indications are that the rock types are very favourable, very strong, and we would expect it to be in good condition. So that in itself is an asset that we own. The previous mine offices and workshops are in that cleared area in the middle of the image, fuel storage, and which we know is fuel storage and drillers camp and sample laydown area. And the highlighted area in the middle of there is the near mine diamond drilling collar positions within which we completed earlier this year. And all of those holes were drilling to the to the west, which is to the right of the image there, testing the structure at depth. This just provides an image of what it is that we're looking for. So when I joined the project in January, there was no core photos, there was no diamond core left, etc. I called around the company that previously had first hit called Barrow Resources 20 years ago. I knew someone that worked there, and he happened to have a piece of core in the cupboard. And I was quite surprised. And he said, "Yeah, I think this is from the first hit project, the project which Barrow was floated on." So he gave that to me, and it was great to be able to see some of the mineralization before we commenced drilling. This core shows a narrow vein, 40 centimeters wide, running 120 grams a ton, with lots of flecks of visible gold. So this is the long section showing all the drilling that we completed. And again, there's some references to the releases that give a bit more detail. But the images around the long section are all the flecks of visible gold that we've seen. And firstly, I'll just draw your image to the top right. That vein looks very similar to the one I just showed you in the previous picture. This is in a diamond hole stepping out 165 meters from the previous mine workings. And we intersected a vein. I've got that piece of core here with me. We've got all our core here in our offices in Perth, and it allows us to constantly refer to it. And again, we saw lots of visible gold. We encountered a meter at 13.5 grams a ton, 165 meters north of the workings. You can see on the long section, no drilling, no black dots around. Those red triangles on there is the planned RC program, which we've recently commenced. Moving round clockwise, the 2 images on the right, they're in holes 9 and 14. They're below the Kylie chute. The grey area is the areas that were stoped. The orange section is the unmined material that remains. And again, we saw visible gold. The grades weren't quite as high on that part of the chute, 0.3 of a meter at 6 grams and a meter at 3.4, but they demonstrated to us that the structure is still active and gave us reason to look to continue testing north and south. Also, moving around to the image in the bottom left, and importantly, in hole 13, we got 5 meters at 3.7 grams, including a meter at 11. Again, visible gold. And this is one of the deeper holes that we drilled, and it's open down plunge with no drilling undertaken to the south of this hole. So still open at depth. Again, hole 15, immediately adjacent, 0.5 meter at 72 grams a ton. And hole 12 in the middle, in between previous stoped areas, yielded a meter at 47. So very high grade, lots of visible gold, quite nuggety. And these are reasons why we need to get the drill density north and south. The red triangles, as I've mentioned, are the drill programs testing north and south there. And they're part of the broader program that we're undertaking. So to give you a bit of flavor around the 6,500 meter drill program, the image on the right shows you where we're planning on drilling and where we've started. The inlay shows 4 of the targets, which is first hit north and south. They're defined targets. We know where the structure is from our air core and from the geological work that we've completed. And we're systematically testing that structure going 800 meters to the north and 480 meters to the south of the historic mine workings. We're also stepping out and testing parallel positions at the Twin Peaks and Yarna's Reward targets. Now, these have been drilled by air core drilling earlier this year, and we identified anomalies on those, which gave us reason to look to follow them up. So we'll do our first pass drill testing there. Also, Emerald North, about 10 kilometres north of our main lease holding at First Hit, there's a historic prospector scale mine there. Is the inlay that's in exclusion within our lease. There's been no drilling done up there. So we're looking to expand our knowledge and put a first pass line across there to get an understanding of what the potential is. So the current status, we announced this to market today, 15 holes for 1,274 metres or 20% completed to date. That's all been focused on the First Hit North part of the drill program. We started with 40-metre space lines immediately adjacent to the historic mine workings. And that objective is really to get more drill density around that high-grade hole in this piece of core that I'm holding here, and look to get some further results and potentially define a new shoot. We've then continued further north at 80-metre drill spacings in step-out lines, and the objective there is to see if there are additional shoots that haven't previously been encountered. It's important to say at 80-metre spacing, we don't necessarily expect every hole to encounter an economic intercept. In fact, if we only got an economic intercept in one of those holes and it was flanked either side without, we would still have up to 160 metres room within which we could fit a shoot. So that's one of the reasons we chose that drill spacing, to cover the maximum amount of ground and give us ourselves the opportunity to define a shoot and then look to follow up with further drilling. And I'll talk through that in our future plans later on. We've currently dispatched 400 samples to the lab just over a week ago. And the final or the remainder of that 1,270 metres drilled to date will be dispatched later today, scheduled to be dispatched today. And the rig returns to site, the drillers return to site on Monday. They've just been on their rostered break. It's very competitive getting drill crews at the moment, so they need to have a break. There was no relief driller to come in, and we'll continue the program and expect it to run through the rest of the month. So this just gives you an idea of where we're drilling. Looking at the overview, the inlay there shows the core that I've showed you a couple of times and the location of it in relation to the historic workings. On the right-hand side of the image, there's the surface expression of mineralization at First Hit, which is a narrow zone. The dotted line is where we know the First Hit structure continues, and we're not sure if there's any mineralization or economic mineralization present. So the red areas are actually the locations of the drill collars, which are drilling towards the right-hand side of the image to test that structural position. So you can see we're systematically working north and south away from the previously mined area, with the diamond drilling locations shown in the center there. In the top right of the image is the Twin Peaks target. That's about 700 or 800 meters to the southwest of First Hit, testing a parallel position. And that's relatively clear nearby. However, it's in a parallel zone, so hopefully we can identify some new structures with some prospectivity. So just looking at the timeframes, the RC drilling, as I've said, is underway. We started at the beginning of October. We expect that program to run through to the end of November at the productivities that we were attaining when we were at site. Sample shipment has about a 1-week lag. We do about a week's worth of drilling and then continue to ship. So we'll see those shipments run to about a week after the drilling has been completed. When all the samples have been shipped, we'll demobilize from site. We will expect assay results at the moment. There's about a 40 to 50 day turnaround time is what we've been quoted by the laboratory. It's a very contentious issue at the moment. Turnaround times have blown out significantly from over 12 months ago. So we're mindful to keep an eye on that. And to combat that as best as possible, we're doing frequent deliveries to the lab. A couple of weeks after we get that first news, expected end of November, early December, we should expect to see information released to market. We obviously want to get that information in, look at it, complete the QA/QC, and understand the context, and then release it. Obviously, anything that's material will maintain our disclosure requirements and will be released as soon as it's known. Subject to the results of that program, we'll be planning our follow-up programs in January with the intention to follow up and return on site sometime in February. So just to summarize, we've got an exciting project in the right location, and there is an investment opportunity for potential shareholders to come on board and invest in Viking. We're in an underexplored prospective gold-rich terrain. No drilling prior to Viking ownership across the tenure since 2001, and we've got demonstrated high-grade potential. And I like to say grade is king. If we've got high grade, it can travel, which gives us lots of optionality for monetizing anything we discover. We're focused on rapid advancement. Phase 1 and 2 drill programs have been completed since the acquisition in January this year, and we're now on our 3rd drill program. We've had encouraging results, visible gold observed in multiple holes. Diamond drilling has confirmed mineralization is open along strike and down plunge, and air core drilling also identified multiple targets. We're back on ground drilling. Drilling's underway. Got a busy period. 6,500 meters of drilling with 65 holes to be completed, testing 5 targets, focusing on identifying new shoots along strike from first hit, as well as testing new positions. So we expect continuous news flow over the coming months as the drilling progresses. Fully funded, our cash position greater than $6 million. This program is costing well under $1 million, and that leaves us well placed to undertake further activity. And I haven't really elaborated too much in here at all, but also we're ongoing litigation in Ghana, of which we've just recently had a judgment made by the court there, which have confirmed that we're actually still owed significant funds from the plaintiff, from the defendant, with regards to a sale of a project a number of years ago. And again, if you'd like some information on that, have a look on our website. You'll see the recent news release from a few days ago, which outlines that. That's not factored into our cash position. If that comes through, that'll just bolster our cash reserves even more. That's it. Thank you. There are a couple of appendix slides. If you'd like to look at them at your own leisure, it just provides some information on the company. Thank you very much.
Julian, what a great presentation. It definitely seems like you're in sort of that elephant country, which is great. There's a few questions that have come through, so I'll jump into them. Is there the option to further increase the land holding based on exploration success?
Yeah, look, we're very focused on business development. And so it's one thing I'm continuously looking at is the landowners both immediately in vicinity to first hit, but also further afield. There's always an option. It comes at a price. And I think I'm unable to go into any details, obviously, but yes, our shareholders can be rest assured that we're continuously looking to expand. However, we do have a significant amount of strike, and I'm optimistic that we can get new shoots within the land package that we've got as well.
Wonderful. Well, actually, you answered the rest of the questions already. So thank you for joining us today, Julian. Looking forward to seeing the results coming through.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.